congratulations, Carlos Sainz. What a lovely, lovely win you had in Mexico. Very well deserved, but that wasn't really the talking point, was it? This was.
Once again, the Max Verstappen just forced Lando off the road. Either way, Verstappen is through and they're both off the track again.
So let's take a look at the incident between Max Verstappen and Lando Norris on lap 10 of the Mexican Grand Prix. I just want to start by saying, obviously I'm British. Lando Norris is British, so there is an element, and I've seen this in the media and from Max Verstappen himself saying that he feels this bias in the British media. I don't consider myself biased, but I do accept that I am British, and so people will accuse me of that. I really like Max Verstappen, though. I like him as a driver. I like his aggressiveness. He's an incredible talent, but I don't think anyone watching that race can not think that he went over the limit. Certainly in the second incident, I would like to think that anyone, providing they're unbiased, could accept that. But let's take a look. So the first incident is heading down to turn 4. Max Verstappen has already been passed by Carlos Sainz on the pit straight, and then Lando has a really good run on him into turn 4. Now Lando is quite far ahead at the braking zone. But then heading into the corner, what Max does is something he's done a lot. He just bleeds off the brake in an attempt to hit the apex first. You hit the apex first, that then means that the corner belongs to you. I don't think he quite managed to make the apex first though. It's still ever so slightly in the favour of Lando. But if you watch carefully, by bleeding off the brakes and hitting that apex, he almost goes into the back of Carlos Sainz. It's incredibly, incredibly close. He almost took out Sainz in an effort to stay ahead of Lando Norris. Then what happens is Max goes all the way to the edge of the circuit. Now you could argue that Max stays within the confines of the circuit, unlike in Austin, which is true. But I do think that from the onboard, there's an ever so slight bit of wheel-to-wheel contact, and then Lando goes across the grass. If Max was given a 5-second penalty for that incident, I don't think I would have complained a massive amount. I will say that maybe 10 seconds surprised me, but at the same time, Max is doing this so consistently now, and I do think it was a tactic going in too deep into the corner. I think that's why he's been given the 10-second penalty. I think it also, he's been given that penalty because Norris was actually ahead at the apex and deserved more racing room. So this is the ruling of the stewards for that first incident. Now they actually recalled this ruling and redid it, and they added on penalty points for Max. Now this is for forcing another driver off the track. They claim that Norris was attempting an overtake on the outside of turn 4. Norris was ahead of Verstappen at the entry, which I think is also backed up by the footage. The stewards believe the maneuver was done in a safe and controlled manner, and that Norris would have been able to make the maneuver on track had he not been forced off by Verstappen. Norris cut the corner but immediately gave the position he gained as a result back to Sainz. The penalty is the standard penalty in such cases. Now interestingly, they gave Max 2 penalty points for this incident. You may have seen these pictures doing the rounds from Christian Horner at the media pen. He brought telemetry from this lap and from other laps of Lando Norris, trying to claim that Lando Norris would not have made the corner. He was going too fast, faster than he'd ever been on other laps, etc, etc. I can't say that for sure. However, from watching the onboard, Lando wasn't going excessively fast into that corner. I believe he would have easily made the corner. So I'm not really sure what telemetry Christian Horner's bringing, but interestingly, Christian Horner isn't taking that telemetry to the FIA. They didn't appeal the decision. He was just doing it in the media. And I think the way he reacted and the way Max reacted to both of these penalties is quite telling. But let's take a look at the big incident, which is the second one. So this incident is heading down into turn 7. Now, if I pause it right here, you could argue Max is ahead at the apex. But what we all know, and this is so critical, is that he was never going to make that corner. This is what I would like to call a red mist moment. In fact, I think Roy Keane said it best.
Do you know what? What I might do is I might smash into somebody just to make me feel better.
But why did Max do it? Well, I think Max was maybe a little bit frustrated by the previous incident with Norris mere 5 seconds ago, and he's just gone for it into a corner that isn't an overtaking point, might I add. The way this corner works is you go to the outside curb and then you dart across to take a clean line through the S's. it isn't an overtaking spot. Having said that, he sent it to a point where he was never going to make the corner. And if Lando doesn't get out of it, they both make contact, and it's a very serious incident. Lando does get out of it, they both go off track, and as such, Max keeps the position because he keeps his foot in it. That was ultimately what he was penalised for. He wasn't penalised for forcing another driver off the track, he was penalised for going off track and gaining an advantage, which is something that he did do. Now, was 10 seconds justified in this? Absolutely. I think this is the worst incident out of the two by far, and I think if you believe Max has done nothing wrong in this incident, then I don't know what to tell you. I think you are unbelievably biased in that case. This was too far, and Max needs to stop this sort of maneuver because he doesn't need to do it. This was the steward's ruling for that second incident. It says that following the incident in turn 4, Verstappen attempted to pass Norris on the inside at turn 8. Verstappen was ahead at the apex of turn 8 and would have been entitled to racing room. However, he was not able to complete the maneuver on track, left the track and kept the lasting advantage, gaining the position, incidentally forcing Norris off the track. The penalty is standard, yada yada yada. Now weirdly, I think this incident is arguably the most contentious one. There's a couple of reasons for that. Firstly, he was penalised 10 seconds, but he was penalised for going off track and gaining advantage, not for the dangerous manoeuvre. In fact, they quote saying he made it to the apex first, so he was entitled to make the move. But we know that he made it to the apex first, once again, because he braked so late, he was never going to make the corner. But that isn't really referenced in the incident. They purely reference the fact that he went off and gained an advantage. Alongside that, this was the dangerous one, yet he received 2 penalty points for the other one. Now that doesn't make sense. If he was going to get penalty points for any incident, it should have been this one, not the previous one. So while Max Verstappen, I think, is deserving of his penalties, I think 15 seconds, you could argue, would have been fair, 10 for this, 5 for the other one. But I don't think you can feel hard done by that he got 20. But I still think it's a little bit of a weird decision from the FIA to award points for the previous incident, not this one, because this one, by everyone I've seen talking about it, was the most dangerous of the two. Sergio Perez, well, he had a terrible weekend as well, didn't he? He got together with Lawson, that was a whole thing. I really didn't think that move was on. He was out of his pit box. He was in Brazil. Sergio Perez started the Mexican Grand Prix on the Brazilian grid. He was so far ahead of his box, and he didn't think he'd done anything wrong. I mean, what's going on there? Red Bull have gone bonkers, and, you know, they're under pressure. They're going to lose the Constructors' title. Max is still going to win that, unless Max has some wild DNF. If Max has a DNF in the final 4 races, then all of a sudden it's on. But if he doesn't, I still think he wins this comfortably. He's getting just enough points, and Norris isn't winning. That's the most important thing. Anyway, I've spoken enough. Let me know what you think about the incident at the Mexican Grand Prix. Was Max deserving of a penalty? Do you disagree? And do you think Max was hard done by? I'd like to know, but I won't listen. Thank you very much. I'll see you next time.